options before.
Yeah, is there anyone from the audience who wishes to?
Okay.
Someone like that.
Oh, sorry.
That's you. I'm Jim Walters. I live at 1033 East Washington Street. Get ready to We all should be concerned with issues of privacy and the loss of privacy. It's just about dead. But I want to submit to you that traffic camera enforcement has absolutely nothing to do with personal privacy. If you're concerned about personal privacy, you should be concerned when you go to your doctor's office and sign one of those HIPAA documents, which allegedly protects your privacy, when in fact it gives your doctor and your hospital the right to divulge everything about your personal health to anyone they want to at any time. Read it. Read the fine print. That's exactly what it says. If you're concerned about personal privacy, you should be concerned about your use of the internet, because your ISP, your internet service provider, can monitor every keystroke you make on your personal computer and have a record of that. And most people who are tech savvy now are putting a piece of tape over that camera on top of their computer, because they can not only watch you making those keys or read those keystrokes, they can watch you making them. Personal privacy, carry a cell phone. Your cell phone provider knows every call you make. Not only that, they know everywhere you go. Everything you do. Credit cards, same thing. Personal privacy, check into a hotel room, motel room. You're on camera because those people are monitoring you for insurance purposes. So personal privacy is just about it. Traffic cameras have nothing to do with you. They have to do with what is happening with your car. It's a 2-ton vehicle, plus if you happen to drive an SUV, and what a camera does is monitor what that vehicle is doing. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your attitude, whether you're texting, what you believe. It cares about what that car is doing. On my street tonight, we have a traffic circle on Washington Street. I watched 3 people go around the traffic circle on the wrong side of the road. Right? If there was a traffic camera there to monitor that, each one of those people could have paid the appropriate fine for violating the law. It's people neutral. Has nothing to do with you. It has to do with what your vehicle is doing. Okay? And your police chief is ready to use traffic camera enforcement as a method of helping enforce traffic laws in our city. Why do you want to deny your police chief the latest technology that he's ready to use? Why on earth do you want to do that? Why do you want to be Luddite and say, oh, this is something terrible. We've got to ban this. We've got, Cedar Rapids is doing it. Cedar Rapids is using it, and they're making money. It costs them nothing. You're talking about money. We're talking about money this time. You're saying we don't have money to help people, poor people, handicapped people, ride on Sundays. God, you can get millions of dollars just by enforcing the traffic laws on some of our streets. Millions and millions of dollars, and it costs you nothing. There are companies that will come in and do it for you. You don't have to spend 1 cent to do this. Right? So you're sitting here saying, oh, a hysterical group of people has got a petition. Drones, this and that, terrible things, personal privacy. Oh, it's all terrible. We should concede to them. Is this the kind of government we have now? When a bunch of hysterical people come down and say, oh, the sky's falling? Come on, folks. Don't do this. Okay? Be rational. Accept the fact that you've got a technology that works, that's legal, that costs you nothing, that your law enforcement officers want. What's wrong with this? Help me coming out.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the audience?
Hi, my name is Martha Hampel. I live on East Court Street. I'm actually one of the two that filed this initiative with the city. And I wanted to thank several people, Marion Carr, for one. She's been very supportive and helpful. Anytime I've made a phone call, she's returned my call immediately, our emails, and answered several questions for me, sometimes twice. So thank you so much for your help in this process. And I'd like to thank the thousands of Iowa City residents who signed our petition to get this issue on the ballot or put in front of the city council. If it weren't for the citizens of Iowa City, this initiative wouldn't have made it this far. It wouldn't have gotten as much attention as it has. We've had several groups of people involved and several volunteers, and I just want to publicly thank them, basically. Didn't really have any other comments beside that. So thank you for your assistance, your help in the process, and I really appreciate that we have this kind of process in Iowa City to allow Iowa City residents to take up an issue like this and have our voices heard. So thank you again.
Anyone else? Council discussion.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and support this, but let me explain why. Okay. Number one, because of state regulations or what's happening at the state level right now, we are not in a position to put up red light cameras until the State Department of Transportation makes some rulings on where they can be used, how they can be used, etc. From what we've heard from staff, we don't expect anything to come out of the state probably for at least a year or so. So we're not going to be able to do anything until that happens. Secondly, it's a choice then of either going ahead and doing this or going ahead and putting it on the ballot in November for a referendum. And so my feeling is it doesn't necessarily prevent us from doing what council may or may not want to do 2 years down the road from now, once we have clarification from the State Department of Transportation. And then it just gets it kind of off the plate for us at this point in time. So it's not because I don't believe in using red light cameras, because I do believe in using red light cameras. And, you know, to Mr. Walter's point, I think, as you mentioned, with so much of the technology that we all use out there on a regular basis, the whole issue of privacy is very much diminished for what an awful lot of people think. So I will support it, but not because I necessarily agree with this, but simply we can't do a lot of this anyways right now because we're waiting on the state, and it basically will start the clock for a 2-year window that we can come back and address it once we know what the state's going to allow us to do.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm the same as Susan. I'm going to have to support it. Have to is the key word there, because our state has chose not to move forward with the technology that could be a big safety issue. And as you said, a fundraiser, we talked about using that money to go to seats if we put this in, but with the state holding us up, it's not going to happen. So I will support it reluctantly, but I'll be the first one, if I'm still on this council, I don't know if that'll happen, but I'll be the first one to bring back red light cameras as soon as we can, once the state approves them. And we go through the 2 years.
Yeah, I echo those comments. I was from the very early stages when staff brought this proposal to us, a supporter of looking at this, and I continue to be a supporter of looking at an appropriate contract, an appropriate red light package for the city. But to sum up, Susan, what you put there, to what end at this point? I think we could adopt this, or we could not go this route. We could proceed with what we originally intended to do. We good idea for the community. The futility of the situation is driving us on this, and I think under the circumstances, staff came up with a very appropriate response, which allows us to do what's on the table this evening, waits for the state to tell cities what they can do, and then in 2 years' time, if the council chooses to, go right back into the conversation.
Cedar Rapids is already doing it. You don't have to wait for the state. Cedar Rapids is let out.
Okay, the council's talking right now, we
Okay.
appreciate your comments. We're gonna proceed. So, that's where I am.
Making it up.
I continue to agree with the cameras, however, in this case, patience is a virtue.
I agree with them.
I voted against the original ordinance, not because of invasion of privacy, but more because of the way it was presented by staff that, I just didn't agree with the way staff presented it, that it was going to increase safety at the 10 intersections they chose. So it's not that I'm against the red light cameras, I'm just against the way it was presented to us. So I'm going to vote for it because I don't think that we should have them at this point.
I too voted against the red light cameras back then. And Jim, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that Cedar Rapids uses speed cameras, but not red light cameras.
That's right. Speed camera.
No,
We
they
don't
both-
have that.
They
I
use
want to say
both.
here,
We have both.
Can I clarify, or you want to clarify?
Yeah, I think they have both, and
Well, that's what I mean.
because the statement was made in response to the mayor's comment, it's my understanding that the state has delayed issuing any authorization to put either speed or red light cameras up at this stage. Cedar Rapids has their cameras, has had them for a long time. When we started to look at it and others across the state, it became a legislative issue. I don't know that the governor is necessarily either in support or doesn't agree with them, but what couldn't be done legislatively seemed to get moved into the administration. And so the Department of Transportation, which has authority over Burlington, which is where most of these go, has the authority to issue or not issue permits. They put this into, what's a nice way to say it? Into
Black hole?
no, it's a extended study of these issues. And so when we went to pursue this, we were told you'd have to come up with all of this additional information, that you can't just install them. What's your last name? Walters. Mr. Walton, you can't just install them anymore. You have to go through the state process. The state has now told us that they intend to promulgate rules and regulations for how for whether permits would be issued or not. And that's what was being referred to earlier, that's going to
Let's
take.
challenge them. Let's challenge them.
Mr. Walters, would you please stop talking? You've had your time, the council's discussing, you're getting some input from staff, but you're disrupting the meeting. Would you please proceed?
And so, the point I would make is, it's not a fait accompli to just pursue it at this point. The thought process of the staff was to give this the time to let the state promulgate their rules, all of this takes place. If the council or a future council wishes to revisit this issue at some point in the future, this creates a 2-year window. At the end of that 2 years, they can address it again. And by the way, it wasn't just the police department that supported looking into these, the administration did as well.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mims? Aye. Payne?
Yes.
Throgmorton?
Yes.
Champion?
Yes.
Dickens?
Yes.
Dobbins?
Yes.
Kenneth?
Yes. First consideration passes 7-0.
Motion to accept correspondence.
So
Moved by Moon, seconded by Dickens. Discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Item 13 is council appointments. At our work session earlier